This giant slab of shiny goodness right here is called the Carian thrusting shield. And it's not only ridiculously overpowered, but also one of the coolest weapons introduced in the DLC, in my opinion. Stick around to see the full build details and see how this thing actually breaks PvP as well. Now, there's a ton of new weapons in this DLC, and even as a completely new weapon type, thrusting shields simply don't sound that interesting. And I'm betting a lot of people are currently overlooking these things. Like what, it's just a shield that can also attack. Big deal, right?
Wrong.
Well, actually,
Right.
it is a big deal because this thing is nuts, and I'm anticipating a nerf coming in real soon. So what makes this thing so overpowered? Well, you're not going to be out here one-tapping bosses with it because it's not about having a crazy damage output. What this thing does is it significantly drops the amount of skill that you need to have in order to play this game. Watch this. So, I just sat there repeatedly attacking. I didn't bother to learn any of his moves or put much energy into this at all. I just sat there and R1, R1, R1. Now, it's always been possible to block and attack at the same time with a shield and spear setup. But the difference here is that the thrusting shield is not doing a simple poke. It's doing a fucking jab. So I'm going to show off the moveset for this because they did something really interesting here with the way you can mix together blocking and attacking. If we look at the new light greatswords for a second, we can see that they introduced this pausing system where you can attack and then just kind of pause and your character will hold his stance and you can mix light and heavy attacks. Well, the thrusting shields do the same thing. Except during the pause, you're actually blocking. Watch this, dude. It's so sick. So during the light combo, watch this. Attack, block, attack, block, attack, block, boom, block. So every pause, you're just blocking. So you could whack someone and then just take a hit without breaking combo. Look at the jumping heavy. Boom, and you're just already blocking. Slam someone's head and then block at the same time. Dude, that's sick. Alright, so for the heavies, if you just tap it, there won't be a blocking phase. But if you charge it, block, 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 wham! Block, 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 wham! Dude, blocking and taking hits and then immediately dishing out a fully charged heavy. And the running heavy is my favorite. Watch this. Block, 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 wham! And again, the part that makes this the most ridiculous is the block while attacking move. You just hold block and then spam R1. Boom, boom, boom. And this is what they see. Boom, boom. Just a big fucking silver kite ramming them over and over again. And there's nothing they can do because you're blocking. Let's say you're fighting something and you notice you're about to be whacked. Your gut tells you to brace for impact and hold the block button and hold on for dear life. Well, you're not doing that anymore. Instead, you're charging up that heavy attack, baby, because boom. Block that hit and then give it right back to them, baby. Okay, let's run through these stats. Alright, so my character is level 210, which is pretty high, but I'm going to highlight the stats that you need to focus on as well as the minimums. Strength is going to be the main damaging stat that you're going to focus on, because we're going to set the weapon's affinity to heavy. You should have that at a minimum of 54. The reason why is because you're going to be two-handing this thrusting shield the whole time you use it. And if you don't know, while you two-hand, you get 1.5 times your strength stat. That gives you 81. And now 80 is actually the soft cap for strength. So set it to 54 at least, and you'll make that soft cap. The next most important area is going to be endurance. You want this to be pretty high because while you're using this weapon, you're going to be tanking a lot of hits, and it's just going to chip away at your stamina. I also have some intelligence and faith. Cap intelligence at 15, you don't need to go to 20, and then cap faith at 27. These stats are going to be for buffing. And of course, get vigor up to at least 60 for that soft cap. If you have anything remaining after doing all of that, prioritize strength for the damage and endurance for being able to tank those hits. And now for the equipment. In the right hand slot, we have any staff. It does not need to be this one, and it does not need to be plus 10. You need this simply to cast Scholar's Shield, which is also why the thrusting shield needs to be in the left hand. That's the only way to cast it. This spell makes blocking way more effective and damage negating. And then in the second right hand slot, we're going to have any seal. Again, it doesn't need to be this one. You just need these ones to cast your buffs. And then of course we have the Carian thrusting shield, max upgraded and equipped with a heavy affinity. And then for the armor, we're going to be using this set called Rakshasa. This armor set actually increases your damage output for every piece that you have equipped, but it also increases the damage that you take, which I figured is a pretty good trade-off since we're going to be chilling behind a shield. Watch the difference in damage output as I take this set off. That dropped literally over 100 damage, which I figured it's an easy plus 100 damage, so I might as well throw it on. So now we have the two-headed turtle talisman so that you could quickly recover that stamina that you lose during the fights, but you might want to consider replacing this with Erdtree's Favor +2. That's because Erdtree's Favor increases your stamina pool, which is probably just as good as having that recovery speed, but it also gives you more health as well. And then, of course, we got the Great Shield Talisman because this thing boosts your guard ability dramatically. It's like an obvious choice. Then we got Two-Handed Sword Talisman. Since we're two-handing this shield the whole time, this is going to boost our damage output even further. And then, of course, the Spear Talisman. What this thing does, at least according to the wiki, is it boosts your damage to enemies that are in the middle of an animation. So if you interrupt anyone, you're doing more damage. So now let's go over the spells. We're going to have two incantations, Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength. These are just going to be your basic damage boosting buffs. You can throw these on like at any time, they're really useful. And then here's Scholar's Shield, which is that spell I was talking about earlier. Okay, now there's a whole buffet of incantations that buff your damage negation to a specific type of elemental damage. So here's the fire one. But we also got one for magic, which is called Barrier of Gold, so you can throw that on. Then we got Golden Lightning, which protects you from lightning, and Lord's Divine Fortification, which protects you from holy damage. So the reason we got all these buffs is because while you're hiding behind your shield, you're going to be safe from physical damage, but you won't be safe from any of these other types of damage. So what I would do is I would only equip the one that you need when you find a particular boss or enemy that you would need it for. So for example, like when you do the Mesmer boss fight, you're probably going to want to throw the fire one on and use that during the fight. And then for the Flask of Physic, I have the Opaline Bubble Butt because it's just a free hit, and then the Leaden Hardcock for that poise boost. We saw how this bad boy works in PvE, but what about PvP? Well, I have quite a large selection of PvP matches where I just destroyed with this thing. I mean, I did it in invasions, in voluntary duels, and coliseums. So I'm just going to show a few clips here. So if you come across any spell spammers, it's really nice to just stay on top of them. Like watch this guy, he's about to do a move, I go for the attack, and then I pause for a second right as his spell pops off, and because I'm technically blocking in that moment, I don't take any of that damage, and then I could just keep on going. So watch this, I attack, and now I'm blocking, and now I'm attacking again. That's literally how easy it is. And then I catch him on the latency there. But I just go after him and drill him again. Polished off the summon as well. This next one is actually a duel. I sent out my red sign and this guy accepted me. He kept using this Great Katana ranged move, but I could block it and then just go right into attacking him. Now I'm charging my heavy and blocking, and then actually miss him here from the dodge. But if he was a little bit slower, I would have clipped his ass. And to polish him off, I just spammed the blocking light attack and kill his ass. Boom, boom, boom. I just tanked that whole move while hitting him. Alright, I'm going to go over one more to really show you how technical this shit gets. So if you look closely here, you could see that I'm already in my attacking animation. So I just take chip damage while he gets fully skewered by my rod. It even works just for like a regular light attack. I wasn't even trying to pause for that blocking phase. He just caught me during one of the frames that the game considers blocking. So you could just be like going about your attacks and just not getting hit because they happen to catch you at the first frame that the game considered a blocking frame. That's like ridiculous, dude. So I'm just going to let this duel play out while I talk over it. At the beginning of this video, I said I think this weapon is going to be nerfed, and here's why. This game and other Souls games have always made it very clear that you are to be either blocking damage, evading damage, or dealing damage, but you can rarely do more than one of those at any given point in time. And in the case that you can, it's very conditional. For example, the spear poke from behind a shield. In this case, you're hardly doing any damage. Another example, the Opaline Bubble Tier, it allows you to take a hit for free, basically, undamaged. And that could happen technically while you're actively dealing damage, but it's only once per life. Now they added these thrusting shields, and you can freely block damage and deal reasonable amounts of damage simultaneously. Now I know that's kind of the whole point of this weapon's existence, but I think it might be a little bit too much. So here's how I think they'll nerf it. Number 1, they're going to make it so that blocking with this shield absolutely destroys your stamina. So you'll only be able to do the shielded light attack spam for a short time. Number 2, they're going to decrease the amount of damage that the shielded light attack actually deals. And then number 3, they're going to tighten up the amount of frames between attacks that count as blocking frames. So you won't have people hitting you for chip damage even though you're in the middle of a swing, like in this example again. Alright, so let me know in the comments what you guys think. Is it broken, or am I just over-exaggerating this thing? If you like this video, please leave a like and share it with a friend. And as always, have a good one.